Hi,
Hey,
Steph.
how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good. It's been a long time.
It's been a long minute, yeah.
How
Um,
is school?
School's great. I'm at the University of Utah right now, so I love it. It's great.
Oh my gosh, that's so fun. What's your favorite part so far?
Um, Honestly, I just have a really good friend group, so just being with new people and it's a new environment. It's been really great.
I remember that, like, just
Yeah.
meeting people in dorms and just going out and meeting a whole bunch of, there's so many people
Oh,
and
there's yeah. Like
such a
I
blast.
yeah, I lucked out. Like my all my best friends are like in my dorm, so like I really lucked out with my friend group. And then I joined like a sorority, so like that's going great. And then
Oh,
I'm doing the U free ride team, so I got a lot of things lined up.
nice.
Sorry, it's a little glitchy. I don't know if it's my data. I mean, your
It
Wi-Fi.
might be mine. My
Okay.
Wi-Fi sucks right now. Let me see. Yeah, give me one sec. I'm
No,
gonna
I'll
go
get
onto my phone because yikes, it's not good. Here, it's been doing this forever.
all good, yeah.
Okay, let me join on here and then we'll switch over.
Perfect.
Ah, there I am.
Huh.
Recording in progress.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, back.
All
Yeah,
right.
I don't know what's been going on with my Wi-Fi, but it's been really bad. So
That's okay. Yeah, no, the university luckily has good Wi-Fi.
good, good. That's awesome. So what class is this for?
This is for my 10-10 class. It's just a basic like B Corp class to get us into like the business school, so it's a required class we have to take. And then this is our final exam, finding
Cool.
in like our industry, so we can do an informational interview. And like I know,
Awesome. I
yeah,
like it.
yeah, it's pretty last minute because I had someone else who was like a marketer who I really want what I want to do, but she like canceled last minute. So I
Yeah.
was like, oh, Dad, I need people. He was
Well, I'm
like,
happy to
use
help.
our staff. She's
Yeah.
in the sports industry, and I was like, oh yeah, I will.
That works. Well, awesome. Happy to help.
All right, well then we can get started with these questions.
Perfect.
Okay, so I was just wondering what your role looks like between all the three different ski teams, like racing, moguls, freeride, because I know there's like a couple different.
Yeah. Yeah. So my role initially started out just in sports psychology and was basically working with all the different disciplines, supporting them through their training, their competition, return to sport from injury, all that kind of stuff. And over the years, it's evolved to the point where I'm now the director of sports performance, where I manage strength and conditioning, nutrition, all those other sort of, I guess, departments. So it's really fun now getting to support the teams in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
Um, and our teams have grown too. So even since you've been there, we're
Oh,
up to like 1,300 athletes, which is
wow.
insane. We've got
That's
like a really big Nordic program, which is growing and thriving. So lots of changes. Our border cross team is one of the best in the nation. We don't have a course, so that's super
wow.
fun. Yeah, so I kind of float around between all of those disciplines. I've got a staff now that I manage, which is really fun. To try and give athletes the resources they need in all those different areas. So we've got like a on-site PT and a really great sports nutritionist, and yeah, it's constantly growing. So that's sort
Yeah.
of where I'm at.
Nice. Um,
Mm-hmm.
all right. And then what does like a typical day on competition day look like? Because I know as I was saying before, there's a lot of different teams with like the ski teams.
Yeah, definitely. So on a competition day, it could vary, right? It depends on what the discipline is that I'm there supporting. but basically, going up with them for training, like let's say it's a slope style competition, we go up, they train for an hour to inspect the course, get to know the conditions. I'm there in support with the coach and just sort of talking through options. What's the run going to be? What are the conditions? How do we adapt to conditions?
Mhm.
And then for me specifically, just keeping an eye out and observing the athletes' behaviors for, things that might get them into a not so great mindset. And so things like, oh my gosh, it's super icy,
Mhm.
or, like that kid is doing this, like my run's not going to be good enough. Things like that, where totally normal human thoughts,
Mhm.
but we want to make sure that we stay focused on the task at hand and not get lost sort of in that what if sort of area of
Yeah.
thinking. So we'll do that and get the athlete prepared, in the thinking part of preparation. And then we get ready to actually perform. And what that might look like is, lining up with the athlete, anxiety is increasing. Um, Sometimes focus is starting to go into a million different places. So just trying to keep them focused on something, at times distract them.
Mhm.
Um, Sometimes it's reminding them of the plan, talking them through the plan. And then eventually, being in the gate, taking some deep breaths, getting their
Mhm.
focus, sending them. And then usually for second run, it's a version of the same thing, but processing how that first one went, figuring out how to take lessons from that first run, drop anything that's negative or doesn't help you, and then move on, reset for the next one.
Nice. So
Yeah.
with your team, do they come to the competitions and do they help a lot with competition day?
So we have one other sports psych, so they'll go to whatever team. Since there's 1,300, we have to
There's a
split
lot of
up, and
athletes now.
yeah, yeah, we split up, and I might be at slopestyle and
Yeah.
she might be at Nordic. Like you just never know on what weekends. So in that sense, yes. We've got coverage in that way. We've also taken a lot of interns from DU over the past few years, and then we have even more coverage, which is really helpful. Yeah. In terms of like our PT and nutrition, like they're usually at home more
Yeah.
as
They usually
resources
have
for the
classes.
the big population. Yeah. And their role really is in the consultation role. So, you have chronic pain in your lower back, like
Mhm.
let's work on that prior to competitions, hopefully,
Yes.
so that you're feeling healthy, you're feeling strong. Yeah.
Yeah.
And same with diets, right? Like dietitian, you want to make sure that that's dialed in that preseason, off-season time, so that when you get into competition, you have your performance diet like squared away. You're not worried about things upsetting your stomach. You've got fuel, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you're ready to go. Okay, so
Yep.
if it's not competition day, what does like a day to day look like if it's just a regular day without competition?
Yeah. So regular day, I would say, I also I'm juggling a lot of different things. So I teach at DU part time, and then I have a private practice, so I kind of run my own business. So I'm managing that, and then I work for a company where we fly around and give workshops to like firefighters, police,
Oh,
EMT, and sometimes pro sports teams as well. So lots going on. So my mornings usually are like logistics work, budget stuff, all the glamorous stuff of
yeah.
like working and running a department, plus all my other kind of side projects. And so I'll do a lot of that stuff in the morning. Come afternoon, I'm either out on the snow with the athletes, training with them, kind of in the moment stuff where we can work on different techniques and tactics. And then in the like later afternoon, after training is done, we'll do group work, a lot of individual work. We'll do biofeedback training, to kind of see how the athlete responds to stress and kind of train that reaction, and adaptation. And then, I think there's a lot of things depending on the day. We'll do coaches psych sessions, and parent education so that parents know how to, support their athlete in the best way without putting on undue pressure.
Yeah.
So, our day could be variable, but in general, it's just really following this question of like, how do we best help the athlete from all directions? Parents spend a lot more time with them than we do. Coaches spend a lot more time with them than we do. So let's educate them, make sure that we're all on the same page so the same message is being sent. So that's kind of
I
like a
think
quick and dirty version of it.
yeah, that's really smart. I mean, I remember ski racing and wanting to go to my mom and stuff, so
Uh-huh.
and my dad
Yeah,
was a coach,
absolutely.
so couldn't go to him.
Yeah, and I mean, coming from like I played D1 golf and just recognizing like there were times when I just didn't want my dad to even come to my
Yeah.
competition because then he'd be like, "Well, what happened there?" And
Yep.
that's just like the least helpful thing
Yeah.
that I can think of.
Oh yeah.
So, but he never did that with like malicious intent. It was
Oh,
just,
oh yeah.
genuinely curious. He just didn't quite phrase it right.
Yeah.
So, having those conversations with parents is really helpful because they're starting to think like, oh wait, how can I phrase this differently so that my athlete feels supported and not like attacked?
Yeah, yeah. That's a really good. I like that. Um,
Yeah.
so you mentioned earlier that you teach at Denver now? What's that look like?
Yeah. So I teach a class that is based around the students. So I teach for my old graduate program. So it's the Master's of Sport and Performance Psychology. And basically, this class is the students go out into the world, they work with athletics. It's not because they have several different placements. One person might have 4 or 5 placements. And so they come in and we sit and basically discuss like, hey, I had an athlete who did this, this, and this, and I'm not quite sure how to handle it. And then us as a group come together and sort of brainstorm how to help. So it's called Practicum in Sport and Performance Psychology, but it's a really fun class in the sense that we're learning from real life experience and
Yeah.
bringing real life situations to the table, which allow the students to kind of like get out there and actually start practicing while in school with the mentorship piece in place.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's kind
So
of
it's
like
super fun.
my 2040 class. We're always looking to go into our industry, which is kind of what this like interview is. So we're like really putting ourselves out there,
Yeah.
all just textbook. So I really think that's cool. All right, well, moving on from DU, I'll give you a second. Looks like it is glitching out for.
Just kick me off.
Okay,
Yeah.
hopefully it loads.
You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Let's see what the next.
Okay.
All right, so I always think it's really cool to see what like accomplishments, but what was like the hardest thing you've accomplished and what you're most proud of that?
Um, I think it would depend. In comp center, I think the main thing for me is that idea of starting from like when I first started in 2012. Oh my God, that's
No.
oh my gosh. Dang. Let me
All
see
good.
if I can figure out a different way to do this.
Don't worry.
Um, okay, is it okay right now?
Oh yeah, no, it's fine right now. Sometimes I think
Okay.
it's like glitched out like twice.
Okay. Um, so so for me, I think it's a couple different things, right? Within Comm Center, when I first started in 2012, um, it was me working with like 20 athletes.
A lot
And
smaller.
so, yeah, way smaller. And looking back from there all the way to this point where we've got a staff, we're super robust in our programming. We've got front of the, like cutting edge research happening, like all this really cool stuff. I think that in itself, like, is my biggest accomplishment, in the sense of we just went from literally nothing to this really cool program
Yeah,
that US skiing has recognized as like one of the best in the nation. So
that's amazing.
yeah, so it's been a really fun journey, which comes with a lot of ups and downs, a lot of trial and error, and just being willing to, take a risk, accept it if it fails, and move forward with the lessons that you have. Um, I think in another sense too, like, academia has never been my, like, academia in the sense of like research, writing papers,
Yeah,
writing books,
yeah.
not my thing. And I sort of wanted to challenge myself in those arenas. And so, we've published a few papers, done some research that contributes to the field. And then, like, I wrote a chapter for a graduate level textbook, which was the worst experience of my life, but the best experience. Um, so it's just like, some of these things where I'm like, wow, I never thought I'd be able to do that. And then doing it, and, realizing that you're capable of a lot more than you think. And I think like, just really focus on the relationship. I'm sure, as you know, um,
Looks
sometimes
like
things
glitching
are
out.
very,
I cannot hear you anymore.
dang. Let me
Take your time though. I like really don't.
Okay, I'm gonna try again on the computer. Maybe it'll be better.
Okay.
I'm like not even on the Wi-Fi. This is just like 5G. I don't understand
Yeah.
why it's doing this.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
Okay.
Recording in progress.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
Moving
I hope.
on.
The last piece I was gonna say in that is just like, as I'm sure you know, like in sports, sometimes people are pretty traditional, or I wouldn't even say stuck in their ways, but adding a new person into the mix when it comes to working with somebody's athletes is always very challenging.
Hmm.
It's hard for sometimes coaches to trust. And, when I started, I was 22 years old, and um, I was significantly younger than most of these coaches who have worked in the industry for 15 plus years.
Yeah.
So I think one of the greatest accomplishments that I feel like, personally, is just really energy to build relationships and build that trust, so that they know I'm on their side. I'm working for you. Yes, I might be young, but I have something to bring to the table, and I want to learn everything you have for me too. So just kind of navigating that line is tough sometimes, but really rewarding in the end.
Yeah, that's a I remember like my dad telling me about you when I was younger, and he was like she started right from college, and I was like
Yeah.
it's like we all just looked up to you as like that person, so it's like it's really cool to see
Yeah.
how far you went.
Yeah, yeah, it's been fun.
So I know you're talking about your accomplishments, but tell me a time of like a story of when you messed up but you were able to overcome that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I mess up all the time, and it's just kind of one of those, that's the natural part of just being a human. Let me think here. I would say, most recently, I had some, family personal issues come up, and I ended up having to cancel a day of sessions, which maybe it's not messing up, but it was a moment that I wasn't super proud of. And at the same time, for me, it was a moment of self-reflection of like, you did what you needed to do. This is what you preach to athletes, so do it for yourself. Be kind to yourself in this moment. And then, after that, making that sort of extra effort to get back in, right? And so just like going and doing extra stuff for this team that I ended up having to bail on, and stuff like that. That's a really small small one, but it literally happened last week, so it
Yeah.
was forefront of my mind. I think in other situations, it's times when I've put in a ton of effort and a ton of work trying to implement a new program or a new system, specifically in the strength conditioning world. I mean, our system at Winter Park, like 90% of our athletes live on the Front Range. And so we don't get access to them during 90% live on the Front Range. So we don't get access in the summer, right?
Yeah, so it's
Um,
heavily winter.
yeah, winter. And even then, like they're not living there.
Mhm.
So I don't get to train them dry land like 4 times a week like I'd like to. And so we've put in. Are you there?
Yes, I am. Sorry, I glitched out for a second.
um, so obviously the dry land hasn't been to my satisfaction.
Yeah.
However, um, that doesn't mean we stopped trying. So we just kept trying new programs and new initiatives and having dryland hosted on the Front Range, offering individual programming, offering app-based programming, like all sorts of stuff. And basically every time it's failed, like
Oh,
every single time.
yeah.
And it's just one of those things where you like take your lessons, you move forward. And, for a while, I definitely took it very personally. And I think that in itself was a lesson that, it's not going to be perfect every time. And this is part of finding the right thing for the right membership or program or whatever. And you just have to roll with the punches, learn and move forward.
Yeah. It's kind of like ski racing. If you do bad, you just got to keep going.
Uh-huh. Yeah, exactly. And so that's one that I just continuously fail. I mean, still. So it's just,
Failure is forever. Like it happens to everyone.
it is. We just keep trying.
All right. And then we can try to wrap things up here. So where do you want to take your career in like sports industry with like more psychology or different based?
Yeah. So I love what I do for sure.
Great.
And at the same time, I'm always looking to expand, which is why I started working for military, police, and fire. New demographic, totally new experiences, and challenged me in my work. I'm like, I get nervous every time, and that's a really good feeling for me. Um, Instead of being stuck in the same, doing the same thing, never feeling uncomfortable, it feels good to feel uncomfortable. So I think, I definitely see myself staying in psych. I don't know what the future holds. It could be staying with Comp Center for a few more years. It could be, wow, I just got this super sit offer, wherever. Then maybe moving on to something like that. But it's kind of one of those things where you put yourself out there, you have conversations about what you do, and things happen. That's how I've gotten every opportunity that I have is just by talking about what I do, passionate about what I do, and letting my work kind of speak for itself. And then people end up calling you, and it's a pretty nice feeling.
Yeah, that seems
Um,
pretty nice. You're wanted.
yeah. And it's kind of when it like, people come out of the woodwork and then opportunities present themselves, and then you try it. If you like it, then great. And if you don't, then you move forward. But I'm not sure where it'll take me, but I'm along for the ride and it's been really fun so far. So I guess we'll see.
All right, well then that leads like perfectly into my last question. So I wasn't really aware of like all the other stuff you were doing. So are you planning on staying with Winter Park for a like longer term or just gonna be
Yeah, I don't
going?
know. Yeah, I have no idea. I think each year I'm like, do I still want to? Do I, and something keeps bringing me back. I love working with the kids.
Yeah.
Um, it's a ton of fun, and it's what I built from the bottom to the top, so it's
Yeah.
hard to leave too. Um, and at the same time, I've moved to Golden. I've kind of taken a step
Hmm.
back in the sense of now I have a little bit of extra time to do some other things.
Hmm.
Um, I'm always looking for new opportunities and new challenges. So yeah, I mean, if something came along that would require more of my time, then it might be something where I choose to do that for my career and for, myself. But as of right now, like I'm feeling really happy and I've got a lot of different things that I'm working on and keeps things new and fresh and interesting. And yeah, I
Being
guess we'll
able to
see
go
what
with the flow.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I've learned that like the last year. I used to be like a very set mind, right? Especially when I was a ski racer, if you didn't remember. And now it's like
Uh-huh.
I got to college and I had to learn how to like just that's what I gotta do. Like it just you gotta go with it. Gotta adapt with the change.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we'll see what happens.
Well, that was so nice talking to you. Thank you so much for the last minute interview.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry about the internet.
Oh, it's fine.
I'll get it.
I'm sure everyone else struggled with something else.
Oh yeah, for
And
sure.
then hopefully I'll be up at Winter Park this year.
You should come say hi.
I will, but I'm mostly gonna be skiing some snowbird in Alta.
Oh yeah, you're gonna have the best time.
Oh yeah, no, all my friends are Solitude right now, but my best friend's visiting and he does not ski.
Well, it's gonna be so awesome. I mean, already just living in Utah, like what a fun experience.
Oh, it's like so like Boulder, but it's very different, and
Yeah.
it's really cool to see how like I've already developed so much as a person here.
Oh yeah. Just getting out on your own, doing your own thing, like that's such an invaluable experience.
Yeah, how to get out of the Boulder bubble.
Yep, uh-huh.
It's
That's
hard,
awesome.
but it's worth it.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Most definitely. It's
All right,
awesome.
well, thank you so much.
Of
And
course.
I'll definitely come say hi when I come up to Winter Park during Winter
Yes,
Park.
please do.
Okay. It was so nice
All
talking
right.
to you.
Bye, Ellie. We'll see you later.